What's up, CHFFL? Fashionably late. Fantasy Pros moved some stuff around, and let's let's get into the theme of this week, which is that I am so scared. I'm so very scared. Um, Things did not go well for me. DK Metcalf underperformed, and I'll let you guess at home if that's coffee or just whiskey in a mug. Robbie Gould, the most accurate, one of the top like five most accurate kickers in the history of football, misses a 40-something yard field goal, so he only gets 2 points on the day. And then Jonathan Taylor injured on the first drive. I feel like there was one other disappointment. My only saving grace was Josh Allen. If Josh Allen didn't have an incredible game last night, I would be almost certainly out of it. As it is, I think I come in a slight favorite today, but boy, am I scared. All right, and we have the Battle of the Bradstards, our big championship matchup from I think 2 or 3 years ago, taking place in the first round this week. And a little thing to keep in mind as we look through this week's games, that Mark is fighting some injuries. Probably very happy he has the first round bye. We're going to keep an eye. Dameon Pierce is now out, and Jalen Waddle might not be available for the rest of the playoffs. Waiver report, very quick. Bill with a couple of maintenance pickups. Marlon Mack for $5. Mike White for $5. We'll see when we look at the game. I don't think White's even playing. I don't know if he's a sneaky keeper stash or not. And Mack is just some depth. We're gonna get over really quickly to the predictions because it is the playoffs. It is round one. Sorry, I'm making it all about me because I'm just so scared. But it is the playoffs, and we're going to look at every game. We're going to look at the 4 teams that are on bye as well. They still have a chance to, of course, get the team of the week. I didn't even update this slide with the team of the week stuff from last week. That's just I'm so nervous. Grant was our team of the week, though. Fairly certain. He's watching, so he can correct me if that's wrong. I still have to send him his $15. Oh, let me get another hit of coffee. Grant was the team of the week. I won the game of the week over Mark. My lone miss in prediction was Max over Bill because Evan Engram has scored 30-some points, and so did Jerry Jeudy, and they still have to play this week. We'll try to save all of that talk. And Grant's confirmed he was team of the week. Good job. Kudos. That's coming up. Sorry, I'm a little late. Bill can score 135, 140 points, even with his team after trading Eckler. Everybody else, though, I got right. Sure wish this week was as easily predictable as that week was. Let's hop right into it, though, and get it over to our browsers. We have Fantasy Pros. We're not going to start with Bill. I mean, we're gonna go through the teams not in the playoffs. Well, we're gonna start actually with the bye week guys. So let's just look real fast at Grant's team, Mark's team, and then it's Stan against Wes is showing as a game here, but technically it is a first round bye in the losers bracket. So Grant having a nice week so far. 30 points from McCaffrey, saving my week in Dynasty, because it's entirely possible that Dynasty will be all that I have to cling to after this week. Hopefully not. Tyreek Hill, 22 points. Diggs, a little disappointing for Diggs with Buffalo putting up so many points. I didn't get to watch the second half last night, so not sure what's happening there. Grant, comfortable with his first round bye, though, so he's not concerned. Njoku, this is the world of tight ends. Up and down. 6 points on the day. And yeah, Swan is going off so far. So Grant, very happy he doesn't, he could still put up 160, 170, but glad he doesn't have to count on it. All right, let's see how Mark is doing. 25.4. Projected at 144, also projected for a really nice week. Waddle had 25.4 points before leaving the game, which was a great bounce back for him. We were worried about Waddle not being involved for a few weeks, that maybe he wasn't the right guy for Mark to go get. It's looking really good, and now he's hurt. I don't know if we have an update or a guess on how long he's going to be out, but it's the same thing with Jonathan Taylor going down with an ankle injury for me. I don't care if he's starting next week. I don't trust him to come back after 1 week. So in the playoffs, you just can't take that risk. So I'm probably rolling with Michael Pittman or Christian Watson, theoretically, if I were to make it to round 2. Otherwise, Mark has not had anybody play. Geno Smith, solid on the bench. I know Burrow's probably the starter, but were a disaster to happen in the semis, he could rely on Geno in the championship. Go see our losers bracket buys. Wes Pokeballs and Pussycats, and Stan's Grabber by the Pelosi. 8.3 from Hawkinson, and it's not even worth mentioning that he outscored Njoku, because when you're under 10 points, like Grant has said, what's the difference? Decent week for him, but probably disappointing for Wes. The Fortiners, 12 points defense, 10 for Jason Myers. Those are both good for Stan. Put him in a decent place if Pollard were to have one of his 40-point days where Stan could challenge for a team of the week. But now, let's go through our games that are actually happening, starting in the losers bracket. Let's go with this one. Kanye's Kitty Killers 2024. That is Minnie versus Marty's Throat Thrusters. 2 4-10 teams come into the losers bracket, battling it out for first overall draft priority. Both have had 4 players go. Minnie up 45-52 as of right now. A dud game from Ayuk at only 4 points. Tyler Lockett, decent before he was injured with a finger problem, 14 points. That is who Tyler Lockett is and has always been. Noah Fant at 14. That is a nice surprise to get from the tight end with the receiving touchdown, and Adam Thielen with a decent game. Over on Marty's side, Jeff Wilson Jr., I don't know if he started the game and that injury happened early, or if Marty accidentally started an injured player in his flex. Okay, so Minnie, no fault, because he had all 3 receivers go. But this is technically the playoffs, even in the losers bracket, and Marty started someone in his flex. Marty didn't know Jeff Wilson was ruled out, too late to change. No fault there. That happens, and teams are really annoying with playing it close to the vest, and I know darn well that they know he's not playing like 3 hours beforehand, and they wait until 10 minutes before to rule him out. So no blame there, but get him out of your flex, buddy. James Cook, 12 points. He had that really nice touchdown catch, and I'm starting to think more and more Cook is going to be a steal for Marty. I think in the 5th round as a keeper next year, if Buffalo uses him like I always hoped that they would, which is how Georgia used him, put him out at receiver. A lot of times you hear about these scat backs that they go into the slot, and Cook can do that, but Cook can play on the outside, and that's, I think, where he lined up on that touchdown. Allen scrambling, and Cook has played enough of a wide receiver running back hybrid role that he was able to find an open spot. With Josh Allen in the 5th round, Cook could be a real steal next year. Amari Cooper with about 10 points. Cousins with a big boom day at 30.4. Puts these two teams fairly equal. So we'll look at who they have still left to go. Derek Carr, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams for many with his defense and kicker. Defense and kicker on both sides. So the skill position players probably going to favor Minnie because he still has his quarterback a little higher floor there, even if it is Derek Carr. McKinnon for Marty, don't feel too confident with. Just because Pacheco's kind of the main guy in Kansas City, and then McKinnon, I think, like every couple weeks will hit. He reminds me a lot of the last couple of years. Oh, I'm gonna draw a blank on it now. Washington, scat back. One of you guys in the comments know who I'm thinking of, but just it's like every other week he's involved heavily. 37 and 14 the last 2, but before that 5 and 1. So it's a high upside play. I don't mind it. Fantasy pros who they either moved or got rid of the other power rankings view that I had been liking. This is a little, why is there this big gap? Why is there this big gap here? If I pull my screen together, it doesn't squeeze them. It just covers up the only information I want to see. But Fantasy Pros had this game very close before any players played, 75-74. Well, it's really going to be a gut call for me, and I think it's going to come down to, do I like Aaron Jones or Scary Terry more? I think I like, yeah, Gibson. Thanks, Marty. No, not Gibson. It was the other guy, the old guy. He's 30 years old. He was on my dynasty team, and this is gonna drive me crazy. Oh well, it's the other guy. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, it's a live show. This used to not be a live show, and I could cut this part out and look really smart while I went and looked it up. But anyway, I like Mini. This is close, and this could go either way. I'm giving it to Floor though, with how weird this week has been. I know the Packers at the Rams is just such an interesting play. The Rams, I guess, have fallen to this point with Baker starting, no Cooper Kupp, no Allen Robinson, that they are absolutely who we are targeting, even though the Packers defense has not been good this year. See, the better the Packers defense does, though, the more of a favorable game script Aaron Jones is going to get. Yeah, I'm going to stick with what I said. I'm going to stick with Mini here. I think this one is going to be close. Go to our other losers bracket matchup between Parker's Schindler's Fist at 3-11 versus Max's Super Mega It's Not a Joke at 4-10 for Parker. He's loaded up on picks and keepers. That means it would be all the sweeter if he can get a high draft priority in this losers bracket. Starting out, he's had 4 people play and put up 40 points so far. Deshaun Watson, as Grant calls him. McKissick, thank you. Thank you. Yes, McKissick. That's who McKinnon's role in Kansas City reminds me of now. All right, that was going to drive me crazy. Let me have another. Good coffee. Harris Campbell, only 3.3. That's disappointing. Gabe Davis, 9.6. Dobbins looking good. Dobbins looking more like a keeper next year. Of course, we thought he was going to be a keeper this year. The injury took him a little longer to come back to than Parker would have liked, but he's looking really strong now. Parker's he's gonna have too many keeper syndrome again, and I know he's probably a little upset with himself for not taking Pollard this year, but we'll work through it. We'll find his best keepers, and Parker's going to be scary next year. A.J. Dillon still to play, and what we said could be a favorable script for running backs against the Rams, potentially, or Baker magic could happen. I don't know. Now, Max has only had his defense go, the Vikings, with the biggest comeback in the history of the NFL, I think, down 33-0, but that means they had to give up 33 points, and I think finishing the day positive is pretty good considering they must have sacked Mac Ryan quite a few times. He still has everybody to go, and this goes to today's question of the day. Would you rather have points on the board or projected points with players still to go? The answer I've gotten so far, Grant said he'd rather have the points. He'd rather take the points. I'm going to dive into it a little more when we get to my game in a moment. Fantasy Pros here prefers neither. Have Max and Parker at a dead even. I picked Max last week, and it was my only miss. Got all his guys still to go, and that's... Parker's had most of his potential upside with Gabe Davis already go, but Dillon and Pacheco could both put up big games any given Sunday. I'll take Grant's advice here, and I'll go with points on the board. I will take Parker. All right, now let's get to the real games. Grant likes Max. And I know ESPN has him projected a good bit too, but this just feels like a catastrophe week for everybody but Bill. Bill will be the one team who will score 200 points. I'm taking Parker. We'll see, Grant. You want to make that one of your bets like you do with Bill? Make that interesting? Let me know. See. Yeah, I think, what's the projection over here with the Brads? They have to be the game of the week, so we're going to go look at Bills, McConnellsville, Mutineers versus Derek and my Atlanta Pipe Burst. I get so attached to these teams, and I know it seems like I'm being a baby in the Discord. $5, all right, you're on. $5, I'd take Parker over Max. I know I have 3 championships. Since that 3rd championship, though, my team has suffered more heartbreak than any other team. I have 6, I think, one and dones in the playoffs, most of them coming after that last championship. And it's just, you get in, the Girly Girly Literature Club I loved that team, out in the first round. The Coruscant Younglings, thought we were a scrappy little team. We started 0-4, clawed back to almost where we could have made the playoffs, didn't make the playoffs. Just all these one and done playoffs, they wear on you when you have all this potential. Now ESPN still likes Bill to the 20-point swing where it looks like I'm freaking out over nothing here. And this is where the question comes in. Would you rather have points on the board, or would you rather have projection and guys to play? Bill has 8 players left to go. Last week, Bill was projected probably around 115. I don't remember. But he ended up with 140 thanks to Judy and Evan Ingram. Yeah, and I understand. And I understand I sound like a big baby. Grant has the 2nd most wins in the regular season. And maybe did he take over most points? But one of the top 3 or so most points scored and 0 championships. Trust me, I understand the struggle is not the same. It's like when the Pirates were cursed and they couldn't get their above 500 season, or when the Red Sox had the long curse that couldn't be broken, or the Cubs. I understand you have that, never gotten the ship. I think it's a real pain, and it's slightly different than having the chance and then just really getting it dashed that many times. I don't think you have as many one and dones as I do, and I'm not making this a pity contest. I'm just scared. Okay, I'm not culpable for anything I say because I'm so scared. This was the team that was the highest preseason mathematical ranking in the history of our 6 years as a keeper league. I do. Okay. So let's actually dive into this game. Oh, and anyway, this has brought up something this morning that I wanna look up on this question, because I always say I'd rather have the points on the board. I always say when I'm a favored team and I finally have more points than my opponent is projected, that's when I feel confident. But I wonder, week to week, do ESPN's projections tend to be above or below what actually happens? Do they tend to overshoot or undershoot? I don't know if I look back at scores for this season, if I can find that information, or if I have to start keeping track of it now to do that research. But I'm very curious because our league has so many bonuses for long touchdowns, for 10 carries, for 10 completions for quarterbacks, that I don't know if it accounts for all those. And I feel like you may beat out. Grant thinks that they overshoot the projection most of the time. I'm guessing you're right in terms of a median. Like, if we just say, did they overshoot or undershoot? I'm guessing more times they overshoot. But when you think about you and Brad having 190 points in the same week, I'm guessing on that week was a big undershoot in terms of averaging up. So that's something I want to look into. And I know I had some research in the Discord this week that really was no fun conclusions could be drawn from it. Just a bunch of pretty charts that didn't say anything. Let's get into this. And this is it. Justin Fields versus Philadelphia. That's this game. Let's not act like it's anything else, because Justin Fields, I continue to believe, is not a good quarterback in terms of throwing footballs to people who then catch them, running an offense. But what Justin Fields is extremely athletic and capable of putting up 45-point fantasy games against the defense that I'm going to be starting. Cam Akers projected 12.3. That was an overshoot, definitely. Yeah, could be. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like you have to project somebody from every team as getting over 10. The Rams really don't feel safe right now. But that's going to be the game. And when is that? That's 1 o'clock today. I've got to get in a good headspace before that game starts, because that's it. if the Bears surprise and it becomes a shootout with Philadelphia and Fields puts up 40-some points and Philadelphia's defense, which has been good this year, gets -2, that's it. Good. Brian Robinson, solid start. We're going to look more at matchups. The Giants, that's a good matchup for him. Latavius Murray still getting all that volume in Denver. And I mean, when I gave Bill this, I assumed he would be in the losers bracket, and I told him specifically Latavius Murray and Brandon Cooks, who's on his bench and has been struggling with injuries, were guys that you could start. They're not exciting. They're not championship guys. They're guys that you could start. Let's see. Olave against Atlanta. Not really sure how Atlanta's been against the pass, but I don't think that that's a horrid matchup for him. And he could go off. Jerry Jeudy last week, and Cortland Sutton's out again this week. Jeudy could have another big game. I don't know what the Russell Wilson situation is. I don't. That's a 4:05 game, so we could know, because if the Philadelphia Eagles defense just shuts Fields down and puts up 20 points, and Fields has 8, this game's done, and I can feel calm this afternoon. But if we go into 4:05 and Bill still has a statistical chance, I am worried based on how big Jeudy was last week. And, this has happened since I made these slides, that Bill swapped Cole Kmet in for Evan Engram. That's surprising to me. So he doesn't think that Engram's going to reproduce last week. Obviously nobody thinks that. Is Kmet the better play, I wonder? And he plays at 1 o'clock. So does Engram. So that's a game time decision. I don't know if I expect Bill to be pondering that and going back and forth here. Kirk against Dallas. Dallas is just a good defense against every position, but volume still be okay. Patriots against Las Vegas. The Pats' D has been very solid. We're both starting defenses that are very good in real life. Over on my side, down to just 4 guys. Keenan Allen against Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's defense has been on a downward trend, and Keenan Allen's volume has been tremendous the past couple weeks. I'm not worried about him breaking 12, 14 points. I don't think Keenan Allen is a high upside guy anymore. I think he's still borderline wide receiver 1, just because 15 points is almost assured when you're getting 14 targets. But not putting up enough to make up here. We're in the weeds. This is long. This is rambling. This is not my prettiest broadcast I've ever had. But let's just look at this. Taylor about 20 points under projection. Allen almost made up for it. Allen was projected 24, so he made an extra 14 up. But then Chubb's the other guy. I forgot it in the opening monologue. 13.9 is fine. Chubb has been so disappointing lately. Really saved by our league's settings that favor volume. Metcalf, again, good. Less than he's had the past few weeks. And just with Taylor getting hurt, would be okay if those guys all met their projections, but they haven't. So I only have these 4 guys left. And good Lord, if I couldn't ask for 3 better position players. Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce, who's had a few down weeks, which just be due, buddy. Go out, get one of your 2 or 3 touchdown games. And then, of course, Austin Eckler. And I feel like this is probably a really weird spot for Bill to be in. Bill, you should be rooting for yourself to win. You can beat Mark. If you can beat me, you can beat Mark any given day, right? But if I go on to the championship, Bill gets much, much stronger draft capital. His worst situation is that he beats me this week and then he loses 2 weeks because he doesn't get any of the draft capital. He doesn't get any prize money. Okay, all right. Calm down. Before this week's game started, Fantasy Pros liked me at a 96 versus Bill's 80. That's a pretty big spread for them. Yeah, Kelce facing Houston, I think could be really big. With the projection, I have to separate me, the person who in my heart feels like the world's crashing down. If it wasn't my team, I would take the pipe burst. So I'm going to do that, separate the commissioner and the show host from the owner, but I'm so scared. I am so very scared. All right, and on to our game of the week. Battle of the Bradstards. Love that these guys have both had a lot of success recently. Swan all time in terms of regular season wins is pretty low as far as OGs go, but over the last 3 to 4 seasons, he's been very strong, and it just makes the league better. We are at our most competitive that we have ever been, and that's really kudos to Bill and kudos to Grant for getting him involved here. I think Bill, his involvement in the Discord, his involvement in 2 tight ends, and his making a team with a below average starting position into a competitive team in the first year has been huge for this league. I hope Bill sticks around, and I hope I do not have to make a new slot on the record books for some times because we have a great composition right now. But oh my, has Swan, Jackson, my cook, Goff, 10-4 coming in, has really lit it up. People kind of forgot about him. And the interesting thing from my research this week is that Swan is one of the more stable teams. He pretty much scores between 125 and 140 every week, but not much higher than that. But he's projected at 163 now. So we're going to start with him instead of Banis, where we calculate how Banis can make this comeback happen. 34 points from the Elder Cook. Very nice. After he was starting to drift down in people's confidences towards that low-end RB1, he saved a good performance for the playoffs. Same with Jefferson. Nobody was really writing him off, but 30.3 points, not going to be sad about. George Kittle, what a buy. What a buy. Can we just, real fast, 8th round pick. If you knew that was going to happen, if you said, I can give you an 8th round pick, and you give me a tight end who will score 30 points for my first playoff game, every single person here would take that. So it paid off this week if it's never going to pay off again. The Bills defense, -2. That's surprising, but that's the risk. Miami's a really good offense. And I know the Bills D is good. And I know from the beginning of the season, Buffalo came out the first couple of games and really just dominated teams. And I think Swan felt that they were set and forget. But even the best defenses in the NFL are subject to a bad game against a good offense, even if the Bills did get the win there. Yeah, you would think, Swan points out the snow, the bad weather, and all of these pretty boys from Miami coming up wouldn't have been used to the cold. So, I mean, got to give them credit for that. I'm just surprised. There's nothing here, no turnovers, I guess not many or any sacks. That is a big disappointment, and it's one of the things that if the Bills had put up 15, 20 points, this game would probably be over, but it's not. Goff against the Jets. Jets are a tough defense. Boy, Swan, what an unfortunate time for Jackson to get injured. Goff's a good pickup. Jets are a tough defense, so don't feel great about that, although Brady on the other side, not Banis' strong suit, which is helpful. Monty playing Philadelphia. Oh, I can't talk about this Bears-Eagles game anymore. I'm going to have an aneurysm right here on the live stream. Eagle defense should be a really tough matchup, and I don't expect Monty to do particularly well this week. CeeDee Lamb against Jacksonville could be another 30-point game, though. So that's good for Swan. Hopkins against Denver. I can't figure out Denver, right? Their defense is supposed to be really good, even when Russell Wilson stinks. But then I have the defense and I start them, and it seems like because the offense has been so bad that the defense can't do well, I think it's an okay matchup for Hopkins. I think this is an easy projection for Swan to hit at 163. I think that if Banis is going to win, he's going to have to get up around 170. Good news is he has 8 players left, and we have seen him hit 190 within the past few weeks with this group of guys. Brady against Cincy. Brady has continued to be a disappointment and make me look not that good at stuff and smarts in fantasy football for saying he was the value pick of the draft. But he hasn't been bad. I mean, and that's the thing. He's been startable. He's been a high floor. Just the ceiling and the floor are pretty much in the same spot. He's going to get you 15 points. And I just don't know why it can't click there. And I don't think, like, we're so tempted to say old man Brady is too old and needs to retire. I don't think that that's entirely it. I see him being frustrated by this year and playing one more year, even though he's 45. Topic for another day. Barkley. He carries no injury tag right now. This page shows injury tags, right? Yeah, it shows questionable. Barkley carries no injury tag. He clearly was affected last week, though, when he wasn't supposed to be. Really hope that you have him back. That's necessary. Barkley, Henry, Brown, Adams. You just look at these four guys, and this is where that whole question of ESPN's projections versus the actuality, because those are four position players who could give you a 180-point game. Grant says with Brady, it's the offensive line, and that's normally what it is. I mean, they're the unsung heroes because we don't have specific statistics to say whether they're good or not. Brady's never, I mean, he's going to try his darndest to never take a sack, and the refs are going to make it so sacking him is a penalty, which means that he's just, if the line's no good, he's rushing throws out. So that would make sense to me. Joe Mixon, back and healthy. I feel good about starting him in Dynasty. Oh boy, this is such a good game of the week. Swan already having so many points, but I don't think any team, I do think Grant is the best team in the league right now, but I think Banis has the most upside, potentially. I don't think that's too controversial of a statement. Fantasy Pros had them pretty close, 92-89 before this week's game started. So who do you take? Swan has the big lead. Would you rather have points on the board? In this case, I think you'd rather have points on the board when you're projected that much higher and you've already got 92. I'd be a fool to take Banis, so I'm going to take Swan here, but I think this game is closer than it looks. I think this game is about as close as Bill and versus me, where it's like a 60-40. We'll see what happens. I take Swan, though. It would be foolish with all these points. Grant takes Banis. I'm not going to do another $5 bet with you in 1 week. I'm not much of a gambler outside of this league. But we will see. And if you're right, oh, I get it, because it's I always call Swan, but I interchangeably will call Banis Brad or Banis. Yeah, okay. So I fell for that. Good joke. Let's get over and look at these chats, although I've addressed most of them as we have been going here. Anybody got anything else to say to me before? Okay, Grant takes one. So our only bet there is that I have Parker over Max. Swan says always take the points. I think you're in a pretty safe position, my friend. And I just want to say one more time, as commissioner, stepping out of owner position, stepping out of show host position, I think I'm so happy with the effort this year from everyone. I feel like our league, I've always felt that it's something to actually be proud of. I mean, I just changed jobs recently, and part of the reason I got the interview was because I have this, being the commissioner of this league, on my resume. I went to school for 7 years. I have a complex major with a minor to go with it and a law degree, and I keep CHFFL commissioner and scholarship co-founder on my resume. This year, I feel like we have yet to peak, clearly. This is at least a new high. So good job to everybody, and really best of luck to everybody. I hope everybody has a good time, and I hope that if disaster strikes and I become a real negative Nelly in the chat, that you all forgive me. Grant says, I changed my screen. What did I put it on? Oh, geez. It didn't. All right, spoiler, this is whiskey. Anyway, that's it for this week. What's good for the goose is you taking your Thursday players out of your flex. Marty, that counts for Saturday players too. And I'll see you guys next time. Good luck to everybody. Hope everybody